Hey everybody, we just got done reviewing Rebel Moon Part 2, The Scar Giver. And go check out that review because it was a lot of fun. It made these guys cry, I guess. So, there's a battle that's still brewing here at Home Earth, guys. And that is the continued fallout from Fallout. So this has been pretty...
I was like, where is this going to go?
Oh, yeah. We're not talking politics here.
Well, I have a lot to say.
So it's been very entertaining to watch the response to the Fallout series. It has even divided one of my favorite shows, and that's Open Bar over on the Critical Drinkers, because the Critical Drinker, the inebriated Scottish man, he enjoyed the Fallout show. He said it was a blast. He thought it was fun adaptation of the games. But meanwhile, his co-host over on Open Bar, Mahler, hated the show. The Welshman eviscerated the show and its plot and its characters. And it was just a sight to see. So you should go check out that episode because it was real fun to watch. But basically, from what I've seen, you got one side. You got the pre-Bethesda guys, the Fallout 1, Fallout 2, Fallout New Vegas guys, the fans of those games who like their post-apocalypse a little more serious, a little more thought-provoking. And then on the other side, you have the Bethesda fans who Fallout 3, 4, and 76 who like their apocalypse to be a little silly, a little jokey, and a lot of action in the games. So it's been a battle between those two forces. I don't know how much you guys seen from it.
The show or the environment?
No, yeah, the environment. What has been your experience with this? Because
the memes have been crazy.
We reviewed it, and all of us here are not like super Fallout fans, so we were kind of in the middle of the fence. I know Michael has continued a little bit, right?
I have 3 episodes left.
I've seen 4 episodes. I don't know you guys if you guys have watched.
I don't have
more,
Prime.
Okay, yeah. So you said the memes were crazy, Jared. I know you live in a very Bethesda environment over there at your work. So what's it been like
Very
over there?
Not really much. Just like from other co-workers, they just started playing the games. That's about it. And then Carlos is just like, everyone's watching it. My dad's watching it now. And I was like, he's like, people that don't even know about the game are watching it. I was like, yeah, people who don't play the games would probably watch it more than people who do, because they're like, oh, just a new show, not a game being adapted. So I didn't get that.
I don't really see where they're like, oh, you got to be a fan to watch this show. It's not very gatekeeped or anything. It's just a show. So I did go on for a few more episodes yesterday because I was kind of bored. It's just the show is frustrating because there's so much like good ideas in it, but they don't really do anything with it. The Ghoul is the standout guy, man. His character is so good, it just makes everyone else look boring, really. Even Lucy, she's a good character, but I'm not interested in her goal or anything like that, because I kind of know where it ends up, but that's just kind of my experience. Michael, you've continued the show. What have you thought so far?
Yeah, it was like after, which I'm kind of surprised because I actually messaged one of your coworkers, Jared, and he didn't want to come watch, or he didn't respond to me. We were going to watch it, so rude on him. Yeah, it's very much like you have the main plot of the story, but then they haven't done anything with it. And I have 3 episodes left. Like you basically, like after episode 2, whenever all of us saw the guy at the end's like, hey, cut off my head. You got to take it here. That's as far as we've gotten. And I'm almost done with the show. It's like they've dealt with a lot more with like the internal, which I've enjoyed the internal like vault mystery with her brother. And we were looking at, we were like, is that guy's really, really tall that he's with, her like cousin that she was banging, or he's really, really short? And it's both on both sides. That
it's
guy's
both,
really short,
yeah.
and the other guy's really tall. I was like, okay then. But yeah, it's like you said, like the ghoul's the only one who I'm actually interested in his motivations and everything like that. Like Lucy, she's kind of, a blank slate of like goody two shoes. And it's kind of funny that she finally said a swear word because she was like, goody two shoes. But the ghoul's the only interesting person. She's finally caught up with the freaking, what's his face? The armor boy that no one likes.
Maximus.
Yeah. But it's like literally, I'm like, this show has gone absolutely nowhere apart from the Vault storyline. We nothing has changed. You kind of get the whole, like, I've gotten to the point where it's obvious it's going to come where the ghoul turns to where he's like, oh, maybe I can do some more good, not be a bad guy no more. But that hasn't actually happened yet. But kind of at that point, I did like the, I don't know which episode is in, but there's a point where the ghoul is kind of trading her for something. And there was a very fun scene in a kind of story. I enjoyed that with the two guys on the couch and everything.
With the robot.
Yeah. The robot's the guy from IT Crowd and What We Do in the Shadows. I forget his name all the time.
Matt Berry or something.
Yeah,
Matt Berry.
But yeah, it's very much like nothing has happened throughout the whole series. I'm like, I get you want to explore and do the Fallout thing of, hey, these are the locations in the world, but have some progression with the story. Like we literally just have the head, they lost the head and like nothing's happened at all. And I'm like, holy cow. So yeah, like I'm way more interested, honestly, apart from the ghoul's character, is in the Vault stories of why on earth Vault 32 happened and why they came across and Raiders got in, how that all happened. Then we get to weird stuff with the overseers and they're all from one place. You're like, what the heck's going on? So that's the bit I'm most interested in, but it's definitely not one that's drawing me back. I'm like, I can't wait to finish the show next week whenever the heck we do it. So yeah.
Yeah, I have to mention the second episode started so stupid. It was so bad. You have this guy, he's like outrunning a Gatling gun with his dog, but they're barely running. They're just like, get out of here.
He does the get the dog away from like where you don't want him to poop type run.
Yeah.
No.
But he has like ultra instinct, Joel, so he's just dodging those bullets like
He's
super
fast.
fast.
And then the other stupid part was like they're flying, and the knight's like, I'm tired. Put us down so I can shoot something.
Oh,
and they just happen to land right where they need to be, right where the guy was.
Super convenient.
It's so stupid. I think everyone likes the second one because the end is cool, where the ghoul's like shooting up the town and stuff like that. But I think they forgot how bad that first part was. So you guys, anything else about Fallout before we go to the next kind of?
One of the memes that I saw was like from a workout page. It's like, depressed guy working out. It's like, I don't even know what girls want anymore. They're simping over a guy that has no nose.
So the next battleground we go to is Ubisoft. So we talked about the Star Wars trailer last week, right? So there was a big fallout from the announcement they made after trailer because they announced the pricing levels of this game, which is nuts. There's like 4 different levels that you could buy. It like goes up to gold or something like that. And apparently there's Java missions, but you can only play the Java missions if you buy the DLC, which makes it like $134 for the whole game or something like that. So it's like, geez. They announced like a battle pass. And like Michael says, why are you doing a battle pass for a first one-person game? So everyone was upset with that, right? And then Ubisoft, the very next day, I saw a story where Ubisoft has this game called The Crew, which is like very popular game. Has a big community. So they shut down the server for The Crew, which is like nothing new. They shut down servers for all games all the time. But what they did was they like erased everyone's data or something like that. So basically the community can't go on without the servers or something like that. So everyone was upset, man. And then this comment from a few years ago that Ubisoft made was basically, we want to make it so you don't own the games anymore. We don't want anyone owning the actual games anymore. We want you to buy subscriptions and stuff like that. So it just angered everyone. So that was one battle. And this week's been crazy because we had another battle. So we go over to Warhammer 40K. So the tabletop game. So what they did over there, the company that kind of runs the community, I think it's called Game Workshop or something like that. They came out with in the Warhammer lore, these warriors called the Custodes, right? So they're like the big guys that you always see when it comes to Warhammer. And
the Space Marines.
yeah, it's been the lore that these guys are the best of the best, and they're always men. They've always been male because the process they go through is so vigorous that it has to kind of be a male. But the guys who run the gaming, the RPG stuff, they're like, no, we're going to retcon it. So we're going to put women in the troops now. And so this upset everyone. Everyone's like canceling their subscriptions and stuff like that. And someone made a good point. It's like they already have a whole woman faction. I think they call it like the Silent Sisters or whatever like
Silent
that.
Sisters and the Warriors. I forgot what the other one was, but yeah, there's a whole other faction of all women. Like it's all women. It's not that women aren't in there, and there's plenty of like women characters inside of the Imperial Army, not the Custodes, like the Space Marines, but inside the actual infantry. And so it's kind of a weird thing. Like, no. And the whole reason why like the Custodes are male is because all the Primarchs are male. And they take part of the genetic gene seed of each Primarch and make Space Marines. So they're always making men is how they do it. And so it just kind of messes up the lore, and the fact that Games Workshop is going like, you're just a bunch of bigots. They're just like, we've been buying your crap for 30 years, dude. Like,
and it's expensive.
And it's expensive.
For $40K we've been buying.
Yeah. It's like, in debt, I still serve. That is like the cry of a 40K fan. And it's so odd. And you have all these people who are like not really 40K fans. They're like, oh, it's about time we got representation in 40K. It's like, you don't even play this crap. Like, why is it important to you?
What did Henry Cavill say? What is his word?
Well, the rumor was that this all went down because Amazon told them to make this change so they could put it in the show that Henry Cavill's making. So that's the rumor. It's not like been confirmed, but
yeah, there's some also stuff about that because Henry Cavill wants complete creative control over the Warhammer show, and that was part of it. Is unless it is 100% backed up by Games Workshop, he won't put it in there. And so got some of that Amazon money. They're like, hey, we retconned it for you. It's like, great.
Are they going to put men in the Silent Sisters? Is that what they're going to do? Make everything equal?
I don't know. I'm not going to make that joke. Never mind. Nope.
So it even reached the world of Pokemon. So I don't know if you saw this, Jared, but Pokemon Go came out with a new character creator, and everyone is upset because everyone looks ugly now. So they made everyone. So as you know, you can pick a man or a woman trainer, right? So people have made their trainers, but it all got downgraded. So everyone looks androgynous. So you can't like tell if it's a man or a woman trainer anymore. So everyone's like, I'm not playing Pokemon Go anymore. And they want them to change it so that has been the video game culture war going on this week. I don't know. Do you guys have anything else to share or anything you guys saw about it?
I haven't been following much at all. The only thing I followed was not even really followed, but just the headlines of the Ubisoft thing of just, and like I said in our chat when everything is like, they're bleeding money because they have way too much staff and way too many studios for how little they put out and how repetitive their games are and how little creativity really comes out of it. Sorry, that was harsh, Ubisoft, but kind of true. Because I mean, every game is like a Ubisoft game. It's just a map filled quest of clutter is all it is.
Your UI, I can't say it. You know what I mean? Your HUD is a jumble of stuff you'll never encounter ever because you don't want to do it
on the map because it's just a cluster. So and like we're on what the 115th Assassin's Creed, and like the only new thing, like they're doing a Star Wars game. They did the Pandora, whatever the heck the game's, the Avatar game. Like what original Ubisoft game has come out and who knows how long? I can't think of one. At least that one that was successful.
Rainbow Six is the only one that I think is consistently making money. And even then
2014.
Well, and that's the thing is that it's an old game. And even then the community is kind of going against it because it's just being it's just stupid at this point. It's like Rainbow Six used to be a really, I don't want to say a hardcore shooter, but you know what I mean? Like it wasn't Call of Duty, right?
Yeah.
it wasn't a fast paced game because it was about tactics and how you use those tactics to defeat your enemy. And now it's basically what power do you have for each operator? And they're getting more and more ridiculous. And they're just like, this is just stupid at this point. Like, I don't really understand it. Their balancing issues are beyond laughable. They don't have hardly any control over cheaters anymore. It's nuts. But that's the only thing that's like consistently making them money. And unfortunately, I think that audience is going away. But
speaking of cheaters, there was one other funny thing that happened in Apex. Apparently, some dude hacked so deep into Apex, he could adjust anyone's aim assist on the fly. Like, so if there's a competition and he wanted someone to win, he just bumped their aim assist up. And he had control over literally everything through it all.
That's crazy.
Like through all anyone's character in Apex, he could control. Like, oh, like
unlimited power.
They have the power.
All the like the competitors are like, how do we take anything seriously anymore? Like, who knows what the heck has control over what? It's like, what the heck?
Who's controlling us?
It's wild.
That guy needs to be in the video game Hall of Fame.
So cheaters are rampant everywhere. But I get your point. But yeah, Ubisoft just they like I said in our chat, I was like, I wouldn't be surprised. They'll probably go for sale soon. I feel in a few years because they just can't maintain what they're doing.
They've got
with what they're doing.
Canadian studio, the French studio, the US studio. Is there another one that I don't know about?
I can't remember the number. It was like a while back that I was really looking into this, but it was like upwards of like 20,000 people and like this on
crap
on payroll, and it's like that's nuts out of the whole world, but still like. That's nuts for one studio to have that many freaking. Like,
and the business strategy is not to make more games; it's just to charge you more for games.
Yeah, this to me just reads as a desperate move to make money, honestly. Because it's Star Wars, and they're like, we can. That's what I see. Is like it has a name on it. Because if it was like Avatar, I don't think they could have done it with that. But Star Wars, I feel like they can. But that sucks. I hope the game's good, but that sucks.
So speaking of Star Wars and money. Forbes came out with an article where basically they've said that Star Wars has yet to pay or make a profit from the Disney purchase. So all their movies have been super expensive, more than they're probably telling us, and they haven't made enough profit to justify buying Star Wars.
Sell it to someone else.
What's funny is that part of what I was going to talk about with my homework. But they developed all that technology for the COVID stuff where they could do those artificial
what
environments.
Is that called?
I forgot what it's called, but
what is that called? The View or something like that?
Yeah, it's a very interesting concept for like doing scenes. But the thing is, it's in that uncanny valley where it's not real.
Mm-hmm.
They put so much money into that because they wanted to control the filming locations. And people just don't like that for Star Wars. But someone brought up the fact that, the perfect environment for these kinds of studios would be Tron. Like, because you want it to look otherworldly. You can make it look how you want to. And that's the biggest thing for Tron is how expensive it was to film.
And what are they doing for Tron 3? They're bringing the guy to the real world.
And that's I was just like, that's such a wasted opportunity. You have this IP, you have the technology finally to make it where you can film. And what do? You're wasting it. It's like I don't know. Like they brought Bob Iger back, and guess what? It's still going. Oh, so
that board battle was crazy. Did you guys see anything about that? They had they sent out the votes, and they were like pre-filled out for you. And they did like a bunch of these videos, like, don't vote for this guy, you got to vote for us. And then they did something illegal, which is they leaked the vote counts before they were all done. So, I mean, they should be in trouble for that. But
fraud.
Yeah, so that was crazy. Just to keep Iger, it wasn't even to replace him. It was just to keep one guy off the board. So that was crazy.
I don't know what's happening, what internal conflict it is. Like, I don't get it. There's obviously something going down that nobody knows about because they're keeping everything, or they're trying to keep everything hush hush. But I don't know where the creative direction is going for any other projects for Star Wars. I have no idea what they're doing anymore. It just all
Marvel,
sounds
you don't know what's going on.
Marvel, we have no idea. like Kevin Feige says, oh, we're going to have all this stuff, and nothing has panned out. Nobody wants to go see Marvel. Nobody wants to go see Star Wars. It's so like, I have no idea what they're doing anymore and what their plans are for their animation. Nothing looks promising. It's so weird. So,
yep. Weird times we live in, but is it as weird as Star Trek this week, Michael? So we left on a to be continued. So where are we now?
It was to be continued. We're still in the same spot where Spock and Kirk are watching the videos of apparently what was the pre-pilot episode. And they're watching, Pike doing his thing and get just being tantalized like crazy by these big-headed aliens. They're like, you find this lady attractive? How about this lady? You find her attractive? We'll tell you all the ladies. Pike is one strong-headed man until Pike finds the green one. There's the green one just dancing with Lil on, and he just can't take it. He goes, yeah, and he runs away. Yeah, so there are a few weird things. Like I was on board with this like 2-parter episode until like the captain or the guy that was with Kirk disappears. He was apparently an illusion of the dudes the whole time, and then so the whole thing was like Kirk's trying to get Pike back to there so he can live out the rest of his paralyzed life in like a virtual world, whatever, where he can be with all of these beautiful women that he rejected however long ago. But I didn't understand the whole charade of Spock's thing, because they're not supposed to go to Talos 4. But it's like, why not just take Pike there, not do this weird thing, explain it all to Kirk, take the poor guy over there? I feel like it would have worked out the same. So that part kind of threw me off a bit. I felt like there was a little less to the mystique and impressive mind games that were playing, because it just turned out there was no one else there. It was just, Kirk and Spock and being weird. And he's like, and then some message came on the board that said Spock is not responsible for any of the blah, blah, blah. He's free to go. Happy go lucky people move on. So that confused me a little bit. I still enjoyed it though. It always does bring up that weird thing of, the Matrix thing. Like, if you have this happy, perfect life, like these aliens are just trying to give you babes. That's all they're trying to do. And you're just saying no the whole time. Like, why?
Don't you just want babes?
Why say no? Why, Pike? What's out there for you, buddy? You got all these babes. Just take the babes. I don't know. And then the weird alien turned into a werewolf at one point, and he was like, I'm going to keep choking you if you don't go back to being bald. And he's like, fine, I'll go back to being bald. But so yeah, where Pike is now living out his little existence in Fantasyland, and the end of the episode goes off and Kirk's just smiling in the camera, and it goes to the credits and he's just smiling, and you're like, okay, Kirk, enjoy your flight. But we're all back to being on each other's sides, I guess. And then he tells Spock to not be so emotional as a joke, and Spock goes, haha, that's funny, Kirk. And then that was it. Yeah. So there wasn't much actually that happened in this episode compared to the first one, because it was just kind of like they were continuing to get there, and we saw the rest of the flashback. But yeah, it was interesting because they just wanted to study Pike and see what it was like to make human babies in space. I guess that's what I got from it. But yeah.
Would you want aliens watching you make human babies?
I don't mind. They can do what they want. They probably already are.
They don't know what's going on.
Just let them in.
Jared, I know you said you caught up. Did you have any notes about Star Trek?
No. The only thing I kind of was thinking about when I was watching it was my only experience with Pike before this was the new movies. I don't like Pike, man. Dude, going off these sucks.
Wow.
I kind of liked him.
Sucks.
I feel like he was more commanding and impressive than Kirk, in my opinion. Like, he kind of had a better idea of what the heck he was doing. Kirk just seems like he's winging everything.
I was telling Thomas, in movies when they beat someone up and you're shocked by the aftermath, in Prisoner or not Prisoner.
Prisoners.
Yeah, when Prisoners, where Paul Dano gets beat up and you're like, oh man. Didn't phase me. When I saw Pike, I was like, geez, man, what the? He got a butthole mouth. He's got all burns. It's disgusting. I was like, oh,
Poor guy, man. Poor guy.
Well, then I told Jared's like, yeah, that's the original actor from the pilot too. It's like, how bad do they hate you that they brought you back and guess like you're gonna be a burned victim now.
You're gonna look like a villain from Doctor Who. Good luck.
It's like that old Family Guy joke. He was good enough to play Jesus, but he wasn't good enough to command the Enterprise.
Because he played Jesus in Ben-Hur, right?
Yeah, I think it was Ben-Hur, yeah. Okay, so it's finally time to go back to the House of the Dragon.
Back to
Episode
Sir Christian.
9.
Sir Christian.
Sir Christian, the Green Council. Go Team Green. All right.
You're green?
Yes, Team Green all the way.
God.
So the empty castle is what we start on. It's very quiet. Because at first I was like, what's going on? Is this like a commercial for Game of Thrones or something? And it's like, oh yeah, the king's dead. So the king has died. I forgot about that. The hand's like, who knows? Because the queen, she gets told by her servant that the king is dead. And the hand's like, who else knows? And she's just like, just my handmaiden. And they're like, okay, shut down the castle, man. Put everyone in jail. Just lock the princess in the room so she can't get out. It's just total lockdown. So they got to have that meeting of the Green Council. And she's like, with the last breath, he said that my son should be king. And the guys are like, they take like this breath and they're like, the plan is all go, man. And she's like, what plan? You guys planned this? And they're like, yeah, man, we wanted this to happen. And then, but one of them's not on board, man. He's like, this is thievery. This is treason. I won't stand for this. And then Sir Christian's like, sit down. And he smacks him and kills him. And he's dead. Sir Christian sit that man down. It's very brutal.
He murdered a man, Joseph.
He did. That was murder. I won't argue with that.
That's what that was.
He straight up murked that man. So they're like, maybe we should go. No, he's like, oh, can we clean this guy up before we continue with the meeting? And he's like, no, the door remains shut until we figure this out. So that was the hand talking. And they're like, you know what? Got to kill the princess, man. We can't have a challenge to the throne. So, and then the queen's like, I didn't want this. I don't want murder. I mean, that's the king's daughter. This should not happen at all. And they tell like the guard of the king, it's like the bald guy with the beard, and they're like, you got to go do this. He's like, no, I'm the king's guard. I only listen to him. Until he gets replaced, I am leaving the castle. So he takes off, and they all look at like Sir Christian. He's like, you got to do this, man. So the only problem is Aegon is missing. Where the heck is Aegon? He's not in his room, man. They asked his sister, where is he? And she's like, I don't know where that kid is. Everyone, they imprison, like I said, they prison everyone. Sir Christian gets his mission. You got to go find that kid, man, because the kingdom depends on it. And Sir Christian's like, yeah. And she's like, if your loyalty means everything to me, you got to go find him. So he's like, yeah. So they do it. And then the king's brother's like, I'll go with him. And he's like, okay, buddy cop time. And they go undercover and they start like go bar hopping and looking in brothels and stuff. They're looking for the king, or not the king, the would-be king. So they dress up, like they're like undercover so no one notices them, but I'm sure everyone does notice them. So pledge to the future king. I don't remember what that's. But okay. So the hand gets all the houses together, right? And he's like, dude, this is what's going to happen. So you better get in line. Everybody kneel and get in line. And there's a few dissenters. One's like, I made a pledge to the, I'm not going to bend the knee. I made the pledge to the princess. I'm keeping my word. So they're like, okay. And then they make those two leave. And then this other guy, he's like all worried. He's like, oh no, what do I do? And he doesn't know what to do. So we don't see what happens to him right away. Meanwhile, there's these two hipster guys. I didn't know who they were, but they just look like hipsters. So that's what I'm going with. And they're talking about, this guy doesn't really need to be the king. He's kind of an embarrassment. And the two hipsters go to Baby Fight Club, which is a thing where the babies fight it out in the arena. Apparently, that's a favorite sport of everyone.
I'll give you something to cry about, babies.
The guy, Sir Christian, and the brother are walking around. The brother's like, "Hey, man, I'm next in line, and that my brother's not really fit to rule." So he's kind of pitting the idea to Sir Christian that he would make a better ruler. They're at Baby Fight Club, and this girl, she's like, "Hey, you want to have a good time or something?" And they're like, "No, we're kind of doing something." And she's like, "I can take you to the king." And they're like, "Okay, we'll go with you." So where are you going? I don't remember what that is. They mummify the king because he's dead. So they wrap him up and get ready to send him off. I don't know what they do with them. The king
put him in storage.
The queen finally talks to his sister because she wants to know what's going on, and she kind of guesses that the king's dead now, and she's like, I need your help so the kingdom doesn't tear itself apart. And the sister's like, "Hey, haven't you ever wanted to be queen? Don't you want to sit on that big fancy chair?" Kind of puts that in her head, but she doesn't. See, why don't you take the throne? So they find the white worm. So this was that weird talking lady that Damon was hooking up with. And she knows where the prince is. But she wants a bargain. She's like, "I want Baby Fight Club shut down. I'm going to tell you where the prince is." Then the prince is under a table. They find him in the candle room, and he's like, "I'm hiding under the table." And they're like, "Get out of there." So they grab him, and they're going to take him out to the hand. But then Sir Christian appears, and he's like, "Ha ha." So it's Sir Christian versus the hipsters. And he beats up the hipsters because he's better than hipsters.
He's better than hipsters.
So they get the prince back, and they're like, "We're going to take you to the queen because the queen's waiting for you." The queen says she's reluctant to murder. She's talking to the hand, I think, and she doesn't want to kill the princess. The queen gets her way because they have the kid. She tells them to send terms to the princess for peace and stuff like that, because she really doesn't want war to break out she doesn't want a civil war. The cripple guy comes in, and he's like, "I have something you should know. There's a spy network around, and I can get rid of it." And we find out this guy's really into feet, and it's like he's a Tarantino guy, and it's really gross. So he's like, "I'll stop the spy network if you let me see some feet." And it's that gross. The queen's sister, a knight comes. I don't know who this guy is, but he's like, "Hey, we got to get you out of here." So she's like, "Okay." So they try to get the queen's sister out of the town, but there's all these people blocking the way because they're on to the coronation since they found the prince. So she can't get out of town. She gets swept up in the crowd. Meanwhile, the queen is in the buggy with the prince, and he really doesn't want to be the king. He's like, "Nobody likes me, man." And she's like, "Hey, you can have this knife." And he's like, "Oh, okay, maybe I'll be the king." So they go to the coronation, and they announce that the guy Aegon is the king now. And he really doesn't want to do it, but then the crowd goes wild, and he's kind of feeling it. He's like, "Yeah, they like me," and he's like, "Yeah, I'm the king," and everyone's like, "Yeah." But then there's a dragon explosion. It just blows up, and a dragon pops out of the ground. And it's the sister. She found her dragon. She's riding it around. She kind of looks at everyone. And the queen protects the king, or her son, the king. And it looks like the dragon's just gonna incinerate him, but it really just yells at them, and they smell bad dragon breath. And then she looks at him, and then she leaves, and then that's the end. So this episode I really liked. It just has this dread throughout it. We got to find the prince. It has this urgency about it. I thought it was one of the strongest episodes. The ending was a little goofy with the dragon explosion. I thought they could have maybe done something different to get across that she was angry with them, and that war is probably coming. But yeah, probably one of the stronger episodes, I thought. So that was House of the Dragon for this week.
How many do you have left?
I got one left.
One more.
And then the new season, right? In June or something. Yep. So I got some time, but hopefully I finish next week. All right. So Jared or Thomas, you guys haven't got to share anything yet. What do you guys want to talk about?
I'll go. I don't have much. Pretty much just keeping up with
the Joneses,
the animes that I mentioned before, and then we've been watching X-Men 97, and so far, or like up until this point, I was like, it's just more X-Men. These last 2 episodes are really good, and I was like, oh dang, starting to feel things and stuff is happening.
Shout out to Gambit.
Yeah,
that's all we'll say.
So cool, man. It's great.
But I was like, man, these are really good episodes, so I'm excited to see where it goes. I watched that Gaming Historian episode about Oregon Trail, which was kind of fun. And that's about I started a game, Harold Halibut.
Oh, I was gonna start that. Dang it.
Which looks like a stop motion movie, like that studio that makes all the stop motion movies.
Rankin Bass, right?
Lycan or something like that.
Yeah, the ones with Fox Trolls and stuff like that.
Oh, that one. Sorry, I thought you were talking about like Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer and
Oh no.
Sorry.
But it's so far really charming. It's not really all about the gameplay. It's more story driven, but I've been enjoying it. So I'll let you guys know what I think about it when I'm done. But that's all I've been really doing. So Thomas, if you want to
go. Okay. So catching up on Mushoku Tensei Jobless Reincarnation. It's an anime. Really good episode this week. Some stuff happened and I'm kind of excited to see where it's going. And then I watched another anime. It's called Love After World Domination. It's the reason I picked it is because it's about basically this Power Ranger who falls in love with a Power Ranger villain, and it's about them dating. And it's obviously made by people who like the what's it called? Sentai genre. And there's a lot of kind of in jokes about Power Rangers, that kind of stuff, about there being a 6th Power Ranger, and it's always more powerful, I think. And so I laughed a lot from it because I'm a huge Power Ranger fan. It was very fun, and hopefully there's another season coming up, so we'll see. I did watch all the episodes of Solo Leveling that they have. You guys have caught up, right?
It's done. Yeah. That's season 1.
That last episode or last 2 episodes,
it's good stuff.
Holy crap, that was amazing.
That's good stuff.
Like okay, like the first few episodes, I was like, okay, it's kind of boring, kind of not boring. It's just not a lot happens, and then it progressively gets more and more and more. And those last 2 episodes, I was just like, this is amazing. Like just the art style and oh my god, the freaking Blood Knight. That is one of the coolest one of the coolest designs I've seen in anime. And just that fight scene was amazing.
Shout out to the animation during the fights.
Dude, no
the budget
joke.
Is going to the right place.
So impressive.
They're fluid and they look good.
Well, just everything just looks so good. And it's just, oh man, I kind of started this show like not really interested, but the more and more I got into it, it's like, man, this is actually really good. So yeah, really glad I watched that. And I'm kind of sad that there's not more right now. Kind of sad there's only a 12 episode series.
I'm sad there's not a 13th episode, Michael.
They lied to me. It's not my fault, man. IMDb and Crunchyroll both lied to me.
But yeah, really enjoyed it. So I'm glad I watched that one. I watched the other 2 Matrix movies, The Revolutions and Reloaded. They're so weird. Those are weird movies, man. Like it's weird for a movie to be outdated by the time the sequels come out, and only like within 3 or 4 years of each other, because even the aesthetics of them don't hold up at all. Like the trench coat, leather people, it's very BDSM type stuff. It's just very weird. It hit definitely a high point in the 90s for all that stuff. But as soon as it appeared, it was completely outdated. Like, this doesn't need to happen anymore. But I will say that the coolest looking thing in all of the Matrix movies is Morpheus with a Glock 18 and a samurai sword on that highway. Probably the coolest scene in the entire like trilogy. So, watch Shogun, but I'm going to keep that to myself because apparently we are reviewing that next week, right?
Yep.
Okay. Not going to say what happened, but
don't tell us.
Not going to tell you. So we're going to go on to some YouTube. I've been getting into Daft Punk a lot lately, just going through their entire catalog. And I found a YouTuber called, I don't know how to say this, Captain P. Piquant, I believe is how you say it. I think he's French. And he did analyzing Daft Punk's beats and all of their songs. And there's like a 2-part video. But he actually recreates all their songs on beat machines and everything else to show you how they actually put the songs together and where they got their sampling from. Very interesting. Kind of, I don't want to say, I don't know how these guys thought about doing all this stuff, because I understand like beat machines and stuff aren't what people call real music because there's no musicians involved, but you still have to have a really good understanding of how like beat progression works and how a song is put together and what you want from it. It's very, very fascinating. So I recommend giving them giving that video a look if you can. Then I did Russian Badger. His Fallout New Vegas video is great. It's kind of ridiculous just the way he goes through the game. Just his build is completely ridiculous. It's like all strength, no no intelligence, all dexterity and luck. So basically he just murders his way through the game just because he's like, there are no rules, there are no morals in Fallout. I'll just do what I want. He's like, instead of negotiating with this traitor, I'll just murder him and take the stuff. So I recommend watching it because it's very funny. The next one I did was the Unsubscribed podcast, and they talked with a guy named Vincent Vargas. He's a veteran of like Afghanistan. He was a border patrol agent. Very interesting stories, kind of sad. He had to go through a lot of very dark stuff, but he's a funny guy. And he's also Mexican, and everybody else on the podcast except one guy is Mexican. And they're like, just shut up, Whitey. You don't know what you're talking about here. Just like let the Mexicans congregate and talk for a bit. It's really funny. And then they also had Demo Ranch on there. He's another gun tuber, and just about his experiences building. Apparently he got bored and decided to purchase some land and make a resort just because he wanted to.
Some rich people with the bunkers all over again.
Yeah.
Pretty much. Well, this guy, I don't know how or where he gets his money from, but apparently he's a doctor. And so he has like an insane amount of education and money and training. And it's crazy the stuff that he gets into. But he also has like a ton of YouTube followers, and yeah, he's a funny guy, but his life sounds exhausting if I'm honest with you. And then watched Nerdrotic's review on Civil War. Very, I think this movie's kind of stupid because apparently it doesn't say anything. It's just very middle of the road, and that led into like a Tim Pool video about Civil War 2. It's pretty much the same thing. And apparently A24 got into some trouble about using AI posters. Did you hear about that for Civil War? So all those posters that you've been like for the advertisements for about how like war-torn America and all that stuff, apparently all those were AI generated. And a lot of people were kind of upset because that means that artists aren't getting paid for it. They just literally put it into an generator and just came up with it. So a lot of people didn't like that because, A24 is supposed to be about independent artists and having a lot of input from people, and they just use AI. So a lot of people didn't like that. And I think that's it. All I got.
Are you on a pause with your book movie thing? Or?
Yeah, I read one and I didn't really. It's not that I didn't like it. It's just it didn't do anything for me. So I'm trying to find my next book. I think I found one, and I started it today. We'll see how it goes. So the thing is, like, it was a horror book. I read it. I'm like, oh, it was good, but I don't really feel like watching the movie. It's just I don't feel like I'll get anything from it. So I'm trying out one I've seen the movie for, but I haven't read the book. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. But thank you for asking. Appreciate it.
All right, Michael, what's left on your list?
Just Dragon Ball Super, guys.
All right, I'm gonna go to the bathroom while he gets this out of the way. So I'll be right back.
So we just finished the Hunter x Hunter, and I was like, all right, I'm gonna do finally Dragon Ball. We talked about it last time. I got through the Beerus stuff, thinking, oh, that's the movie stuff. Granted, I'm just now past the other movie stuff, but it was a rough one, guys. We got Frieza Resurrection F. I don't know what the movie's like. I never saw the movie, but the arc of the show was abysmal. Not only bad, but also just an insult to the original Frieza stuff. There's so much, and here's one of my biggest things going into Super period. Like, power levels have always been goofy in Dragon Ball, but they've always been consistent, at least. Like, you always know where someone's at or what something's happening. They've thrown it all out the window. They have a point where Captain Ginyu, who's been a frog on Earth forever, I'm like, just let the man be a frog and live forever. No, he jumps, he writes in the ground and makes this bald Frieza henchman, who looks really cool, in my opinion, say change now. And so he changed back, and Captain Ginyu's back for 5 seconds. And he powers up, and this line, they're just adding insult to the injury of Gohan being a weakling by giving him this line of saying, I can't take him, guys. He's stronger than I was at my peak. It's like, so you're saying Captain Ginyu, because he trained for 4 months with Frieza out, who knows what the heck they did. They did steroids at the wazoo because for some reason Frieza went from weak baby to giant god in 4 months. It's the most stupidest.
He actually had to train
it's so
for
stupid.
once.
It's so stupid. And it's like, and so Gohan is basically saying that Captain Ginyu is as strong as Ultimate Gohan or Mystic Gohan fighting Super Buu at the peak of Gohanism. It's like, are you kidding me? That's the stupidest. You cannot connect those two things. You cannot connect those two things. It's so stupid. But no. So Frieza comes
the power
back.
levels do not get better in Super.
Dude,
so
it's so
have
dumb.
fun with
it's
that.
so inconsistent. They're like half the time this person's strong, this person's weak. I do like the little. I was about to say this guy's power level's confusing me, but I do like him. The like Galaxy Patrolman. That's a
like Jocko.
Oh yeah,
he's
fun. Yeah,
he's fun. But Frieza's not fun. Frieza's voice actor. I'm glad it's a different voice actor actually, because I can distance the two in my mind. I'm like, that one doesn't exist, and that's the real one. Because they do so much. Like, they have so many flashbacks that go back to like fights that you're like, oh my god, the thought put into the Frieza fight with Goku, how he can't sense things, is so interesting, and like the kind of challenges and how Goku can play, and that kind of gives Goku an edge. And then the fact that Frieza ends up taking himself out because of Goku tricking him with, and he can't sense the blade come by him. That's the whole freaking point of that whole thing. And that's how Goku wins without actually doing violence against Frieza, because Goku's supposed to be this hero good guy, and now he's just a goofball clown moron in Super. And then Frieza's like, no, I'm going to take the power you gave me. I'm going to shoot it back at you. Goku finally has to act. He has to act. And they make that stupid do-over crap at the end of Frieza. And it's like, no, you have to actually kill him. Blah, 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 blah. Like, it makes a laughing stock of Goku's character and Frieza's actual villainousness in the original part. And I hated every moment of this series. Like, this arc was one of the worst in anime I've seen ever, just because of how much it crapped on the history of it. Like, it's so bad, so absolutely bad. All the characters are treated terribly. And even the fight scenes, like we talked about Solo Leveling a second ago, there has not been one good fight scene in Super so far. Not a single one. Like, we talked about the intention. You actually see what's happening inside of in Solo Leveling, and how he's actually fighting and moving through things. And it's like intentional. It's like in Dragon Ball, like I told Jared the other day, we were outside of my house, and I was like, all we're getting, when Dragon Ball is struggling is when it's just the ha 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 ha, and they're just shooting beating balls at it. It's not Kamehameha, it's nothing impressive or anything cool. It's just ha, and that's all they do. Like I've seen that.
Yeah, I hate that.
I've seen that probably as many times in Super as it was throughout all of Z. Like that's probably how many times they've done it so far. It's at least 4 times a fight, and so we finally got past that. Frieza's gone. And then, like, I knew it was going to happen. You know how the series is going to end. You see Frieza starts off, and Frieza's in a cocoon for some reason, Thomas. He is in a cocoon, like a moth, and there are little bunnies and little fairies in this fairyland singing and pounding drums as they march around Frieza hanging from a tree. That's how it starts with Frieza, if you're wondering. It's hell, basically, torturing Frieza.
Yeah.
I'll be honest with you, Michael.
That's his hell.
It's so dumb. Yes, sir.
I understand what Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z did for anime and manga stuff, but the reasoning for any of their logic, I just think is the dumbest stuff ever. Like, I'm sorry. Like, I find a lot of it highly entertaining, but I cannot take this show seriously whatsoever.
Their logic was never great, but at least made sense. Like it had a progression. Now it's just
I understand,
but like
I understand, but like everything I'm seeing of the continuation, like of Super and everything else, I'm just like, I don't know what drug you're smoking, but this is weird and it's not very entertaining.
The problem with it for me right now is there's no character growth whatsoever. Like I am 40 episodes into this. There is not 1 ounce of character growth.
40?
Yeah. There's not, okay, maybe 35, but we're in that range anyway. And
holy crap.
Like thinking like through Cell, like you talk about the Frieza stuff and with Goku and Vegeta, that kind of struggle they have, then through Cell with Gohan and fighting and like becoming the supposed next hero of Earth, whatever, because Goku was leaving. And like even with Boo and all that stuff, and Vegeta with Trunks and becoming a father and all that junk. Like there's so much progression through each of these series. And then like literally Dragon Ball Super, it's just like you take the headline of the character page of each character, and that's them. They're just, that's it the whole time. Krillin's the goofball weakling, but he actually fought a few people, which is kind of funny scene because he was like, I can't do anything. And then he dodged. It's like, oh, you guys kind of suck. And then Vegeta's just yelling. Goku is just being literally an idiot 24/7. There are funny points to it that I enjoy, but it's like literally it's just like honk the clown's nose because that's what Goku's character is now. It's ridiculous. Anyway, so we moved on from that. Lord Beerus and his brother we found out, Thomas, there are now 13 universes in Dragon Ball Z and Dragon Ball Super. And so Universe 6 is the pairing of Universe 7, which is our Dragon Ball universe. And so we have all the side characters, which I've actually enjoyed. This is like kind of the satisfying stuff of Dragon Ball Z because you get, so I just met not Frieza, but Frozen, right? Is his name? It's the guy version. Frost. There you go. Sorry. But it's like, it's, because that was my thought when Frieza came back. I'm like, if they're introducing universes, why not have the other Frieza be stronger from another universe? But then it was kind of funny with what they did. Like this Frieza is like super polite, a humanitarian trying to save their galaxy and everything. I was like, okay, that was pretty funny. But anyway, so we started a whole tournament of the universes because Beerus has the food from Earth in his universe, and his brother is jealous because his Earth is gone. So they made a wager, trade universes in exchange for giant planet Dragon Balls, even though they're missing one giant planet Dragon Ball. And so now we're doing tournament, which is usually the best stuff in Dragon Ball Z. I'm enjoying it so far. Goku fought the giant golden blob thing that he couldn't punch. He just dragged and threw out of the ring. And then he fought Frozen, Frost. And Frost was enjoyable, and he made him power up all the way, even though Goku didn't power up all the way. So Goku was basically a liar in this fight. But then something weird happened, and we caught this earlier on in the Frieza arc that was so terrible, as we'll repeat, where Jakku can see stuff. He can follow stuff really, really well with his eyes. And so he does a and then Goku like goes woozy. And then Goku gets kicked out of the ring. And you're like, what happened? And so where I'm at right now is Piccolo's about to fight Frost, and Jakku goes in 6 neck because Vegeta's like, why did Kakarot go down? Like, that didn't make any sense. He fell to such a weak blow. And then Jakku 6 next to him because for some reason Vegeta's jealous of Jakku going off with Bulma because he thinks they're making Whoopi in space. and Jakku's like, I just needed a better view. And so they look away from each other. So I like some of the character play, but that's where I'm at right now. But yeah, so I just had to express how much I hated the Frieza stuff because it was absolute trash and garbage and should not exist. But now we're tournament fun stuff.
Part of it is I enjoy the movies for Super, mostly because I think it just gets rid of all the
Beerus movie was much better than the Beerus arc for sure.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's the thing is that I know it sounds weird, but all the character, but all the story in between all the action,
All the bloat.
yeah, there's just so much of it that I just think it's kind of stupid, and two, it doesn't really matter in the end. You want to get to the tournament, and so or the fighting, and I do agree. Tournament stuff in DBZ, pretty great. No, actually, pretty awesome. I'll say pretty awesome. But
Cell tournament, man, you can't beat
the
it.
Cell tournament, yes, Cell tournament's
Jesus.
like my favorite.
Jesus.
And then you have the freaking Frieza movie, which I watched, and the what's the God one, Jared?
Battle of the Gods.
Is it Battle of the Gods?
Wasn't that Beerus?
Yeah.
That's Beerus one?
Yeah, that's like the
Yeah.
first one. I really liked those movies. Those are great, but I am not interested in watching a series that leads up to that. I'm like, I
I'm
don't
very
care.
curious as to, because I've heard people are like, yeah, the Frieza Resurrection F movie's good. And I'm like, how?
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
understand. That,
We
I
liked
actually
it.
watched it. I actually watched it with my cousins who knew nothing about Dragon Ball Z.
I mean,
and
that
they
would
enjoyed
be
it.
better because they're not poo-pooing on
Yeah.
the entire history of Frieza. It's
They
like,
don't like anime, and they liked it.
Oh, man.
We liked
Okay.
the Broly movie.
I've heard that one's
That
amazing.
one's-
Everyone
that
says
one's
it's
really
amazing. Even Alex
Yeah.
watched that without watching Super, and he's like, that movie is amazing. I was like, okay.
Yeah.
So I'm looking
I saw
forward to the
Michael-
rest of Super, but now I'm out of the movie part. Thank goodness.
I was telling Michael in Soul Leveling, the main character copies something from the Broly movie that Goku does. I thought that was pretty cool.
Really? And then everyone says superheroes good. I still haven't seen superheroes.
It's okay. It's very Dragon Ball, and I like the attention it gives to Piccolo. I do not like the attention it gives to Gohan because it's more of that power scaling bullcrap with Gohan. But I think Piccolo actually deserves it, and there's a lot of good dynamic between Piccolo and Pan in that episode or that movie. But there's a lot of bad with it too.
What's the new show they're doing?
Oh,
Vegeta and
I
Goku
forget
like
the name.
young or something like that? What the heck's going
Yeah,
on?
they're
Yeah,
kids.
forget about that.
Oh my.
Well, I'm glad you talked. Oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say I like the art of the Saiyan from Universe 6 because he looks like a Toon Link or something. I'm like, what are you doing here?
Oh, the little guy.
Yeah. I'm excited to see what happens
So-
there.
I'm glad you ended with that because that takes me to my last thing. Well, actually, I got two more things. I forgot to talk. Me and Jonah are going through Batman the Animated Series, and we got to an episode that I think is one of the best Batman stories ever told. It's called "I Am the Night." So Batman is very depressed. He is questioning his mission. And he's like, am I doing any actual good? So he goes to Crime Alley to deliver the flowers that he does yearly on his parents' death site. So he puts down the flowers. There's these punks, and they squash the flowers, and this makes Batman mad. And it also makes him late for a sting he had going on with Gordon. So they're going to try to capture this gangster called the Jazzman. So Batman arrives. Yeah, so Batman arrives and takes out all the gangsters and captures the Jazzman. But then he hears like, hey, Jim. And then he looks and Gordon is shot. Gordon has been shot, ladies and gentlemen. This makes Batman really depressed. He tears up the Batcave and he walks around it for 3 days. So Alfred calls Dick and it's like, he's been down. I've never seen him like this. So Robin arrives. And he tries to talk him out of his depression. He's like, this city needs you. It would crumble without you. And Batman's like, Gordon is the same age my dad would have been if he was still alive. And he's like worried that, like, you know, what happens when I get one of you guys killed, like Alfred and Robin. So Robin's like, you know what? You taught me everything I know. So I'm going to go find the Jazzman. And Batman's all, no, wait, I'll go do it. So Batman goes. And the Jazzman breaks out of jail, and he is going to finish Gordon off because Gordon busted him way back in the day. So he's going to go kill Gordon. Batman arrives, and he saves Gordon. And Gordon wakes up, and he's like, I wish I could be a hero like you. And Batman's like, you are a hero, Jim. And then it turns out the punk from earlier in the episode, he has bought a ticket to go back home, and he's going to turn his life around. And Batman's like, yeah, I did a little good this time. So that great episode, man. 10 out of 10. They should probably just based the Batman 2 on it. So so we're still going through that. And I know there's a few more that I really like is coming up soon too. But I'm glad you talked about Dragon Ball because I was a little jealous last week because everyone was watching anime except for me. So I decided to watch Sandland. I checked out Sandland. So this really surprised me because I was just expecting Dragon Ball. Toriyama's just going to go back to Dragon Ball because that's a fun little series. And you want to do a fun little series, but this really surprised me because it's about this old guy and the prince of the demons, and they got to go find some water because the king is hoarding all the water and he's charging everyone really high prices for water. So they're on a mission to go find this secret spring where they can get the water for their people. It surprised me because I thought it was going to be all about the demon prince, but it's really not. The first 6 episodes is about the old guy and like what he went through during the war, basically before all this. And there's these cute little tank battles. They get this cute little tank, and it's like Advance Wars or something. And the inside of the tank's like really detailed. It's like someone went to town drawing this tank, man. But it's cute because they drive these tanks and they shoot and they go pop pop and then it like hits the other tanks. But yeah, so it was like 6 episodes, this little tank warfare, and it was really digging it. So it's 12 episodes, I believe, and they have 8 on Hulu. So it's starting a new arc, and basically they got to go save this king from Forestland. So they meet this girl, and it's starting this whole different arc. But I was really surprised by this show and how like kind of serious it was at part. I mean, it's still got that fun Dragon Ball vibe, but it has some actual drama in it, and the art style's not my favorite. I hate CG in anime, and it is CG. But it's weird because it's like a blend. So like all the main characters are CG, but like all the background characters are drawn traditional style. So it's a little weird. But yeah, it was fun to check out, and hopefully I can see the end of the series pretty soon. But I don't know, it's on Hulu and they take forever to dub stuff. So that was Sandland. So that is all I have for this week. Do you guys got anything you want to add or anything?
The only other thing was Bad Omens had another single, and it was very good.
Oh, yeah, it was pretty good.
It was pretty good. All right. Good. So please subscribe to the channel, give us some likes, and notify yourself for even more good stuff to come. And we will see you next time. Bye.
Recording stopped.